And now I want to introduce my friend from Ukraine, Ira Branitskaya. She is the founder of private school, and she will introduce very outstanding person from Summerhill School. I was sharing with you a movie about this democratic school. So please welcome one more historical, extraordinary school in our conference.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me okay?
Hi, Henry. Hello, we hear you. Do you hear us?
Yes, absolutely fine, yes.
Can I ask you, I wanted to also Ira introduce you a little bit, okay?
Of course, no problem, of course. Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah, now Ira is
Hi.
able to speak. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Irena, for having me here, and thank you for your invitation. I'm here, yes, I'm from Ukraine, and I'm here to introduce you and to meet you with Henry Readhead. You've heard him 1 minute ago, and he's a music teacher and deputy head of Summerhill School, the oldest democratic school in the world. The school where kids' rights in the school started. And actually, he had rights from the very childhood, as this childhood was totally in this school, because Henry, he's the great son of Alexandro Neill, the founder of Summerhill, and they have a very special event this year. He will tell you about it today. Henry will tell you more about Summerhill, about kids' rights, and how do they deal with kids with different needs, with special needs, regular needs, any need they have. Hello, Henry. I'm really happy to see you here.
It's lovely to see you again. It's been a while since we've seen each other. It's lovely to see you again. Really nice. Yeah. And thank you so much for inviting me. And I hope I can share something that is useful for everybody. It's lovely to see there's so many people here. So hopefully some of the things I can share with you will be interesting. Okay, so you can all hear me okay? I've got a few nods, so I'll just take that as a yes. So, okay, so now my grandfather founded Summerhill School in 1921. As Ira was saying, it's the oldest children's democracy in the world. There's a few things that I want to talk about very specifically about the core philosophy of Summerhill. That's important to gauge an idea of the way our attitudes towards children within education. My grandfather Neill believed in educating the whole child. Now, this is a very important aspect of the fact that children need to fulfill their childhood needs. They need to develop socially and emotionally. They need time to hang out with their friends, to play, and to learn about themselves and to learn about living with other people. And this is a very important aspect of the core ideas of Summerhill School. At Summerhill, we focus on the fact that social and emotional development should become first. The learning and the academic elements are all very important. And it's very important for the cognitive elements. It's very important that children have the option to learn and have the option to have very professional options and working with teachers and having wonderful learning environments. But for us, it's most important that children fulfill their childhood needs. And when children are young, they need time to play. Arguably, the most important thing that happens at Summerhill is that children play, and it's free play, it's uninterrupted, and they can play as much as they like. So this is sort of to paint a bit of a picture of our angles towards education, if you will. Now, the fundamental idea behind Summerhill School is, or the philosophical idea is, freedom, not license. And this means that children have absolute freedom to do whatever they want to do, but they're not allowed to infringe on other people's freedom. Now, this is a very important aspect. Some people can sometimes get a bit misunderstand the freedom of Summerhill. It doesn't mean that you can literally do whatever you want and that you can break windows and you can make lots of noise and you can upset other people. This is the license. This is not okay. When you're living in an environment with other people, you have to respect the fact that other people have freedom and you have to respect their freedoms as well. And this is very important. So what this does is it creates freedom for the individual, but responsibility towards other people and to community, and also even to your learning as well. Now, so what this freedom means is that children can play, they can access all of their instinctual, they can fulfill all of their instinctual needs, and they can develop. But at the same time, they have those responsibilities to other people in the community. So now the other element of Summerhill that's very important in this aspect is equality. Now, what equality does is it sets a situation where we all have equal rights. Me and a 5-year-old at Summerhill School have an equal vote in the meeting. So we have weekly meetings where we decide all of our laws and we decide our day-to-day living within the community. And we also resolve conflict. And in these meetings, I have exactly the same rights as a child of 5 or 6 years old. Now, this equality is a very important thing to celebrate individuality. So the freedom, not license, the educating the whole child, and equality means that you can celebrate and focus education purely on the individual. Now, this is where it relates very strongly to being a system of education that is very, very open to everybody's individual needs. And this is why it works very well as an environment that focuses or that accepts and works with children that are SEN, have educational needs, have special needs, you know, these sort of, whether it's disabilities, these sort of situations. And I'll just paint a little bit of a picture about this just quickly. At Summerhill, because we focus education on the individual, then actually you start to realize quite quickly that we're all a little bit special educational needs. We all have things that are different. We're not all wonderful and perfect, and we don't, at Summerhill, we don't like to label, to say that someone is very specifically, has got a specific labeling to do with SEN or anything like that. We don't like to do this in general. We will keep the knowledge, and I'll tell you a bit more about this in a few minutes. But the important thing is that actually we all learn differently. We all live differently. We all, the way we express our emotions, the way we feel our emotions is very different. The way we interact with other people is very, very different. And what we need to do is we need to learn about ourselves, and we need to learn how to live with ourselves and how to live with other people. This is to create happiness, shall we say, in simple form. The goal of all of this is happiness. Now, in focusing education on the individual, our fundamental goal is independence. We want to have a situation where we understand ourselves, we understand who we are with other people, and we feel confident and we can deal with the good things and the bad things. We all have them. And this is something, this sort of, to a certain extent, having a situation where children can fulfill their childhood needs and develop, you get this wonderful sense of maturity. You get this wonderful sense of self, of who I am. Now, there's a few other things I'll just quickly mention as well about Summerhill School. So there's a few bits of factual information I'll just tell you about. So Summerhill School is an international boarding school. We have children from 5 years old up to 18 years old. At the moment, we have roughly around 60 pupils, and we have around 16 staff members who live on site. These staff members are teachers, and these staff members are residential carers as well. Now, the system, if you will, the structure, maybe is a better way of saying it, of Summerhill School, is a very robust system. And it's very important that it is. We have very many policies. We have regular staff meetings. We're very much in touch all the time on how we're running the school. And this is very important to make sure that the children can experience the freedom that they need to experience. Yeah. So to allow the freedom, us staff members don't have any freedom. Roughly, in short, we don't have much freedom. But this system is a very important thing. So I'm also just quickly going to tell you about, because it interlinks, I'll go into a bit more detail about the children who SEN or might be having learning difficulties or physical, social difficulties and situations like that. So within our staff meetings, we have something called a special attention list. Yeah. Now, this special attention list is a list of all children within our school, whether they're SEN or not, who we see as the staff members are having some difficulties. Now, this can be social and emotional difficulties. It can be developmental difficulties. It could be related to SEN. It could be that they're having difficulties at home. It could be that their attitudes towards learning they're finding difficult. And this is an opportunity for us as staff members to a certain extent, triangulate information about each individual child who we are looking at as having potential problems. Now, what this does is it gives a very robust system for us to be working with individual children within our school and allowing for freedom for the child, whether the child has got disabilities, whether the child has got learning disabilities, special educational needs, for the child to understand themselves and to understand how they relate to other people and to understand how they relate to their own learning. Now, we are there as a school, we are there to support them. But the priority is to allow them to find out who they are and to become self-confident and to become aware of all of the situations that of themselves, basically, to become aware of themselves. So we don't necessarily treat, where possible, we don't necessarily treat anybody any differently than anybody else. Whether we're a 5-year-old, whether we're male, female, what race we're from, our hair color, whether we've got a disability or not, it's all the same, really. And this is something, this attitude that we have towards the community and individuals within the community, from our perspective, has shown to be very, 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 very successful when working with children who have learning disabilities or SEN special needs. The thing is that the children need to find out who they are. Now, all children have to do this. We push boundaries sometimes. We do things that are not good. Oh, we got to do bad things sometimes. Children have to play. They have to do bad things sometimes. Now, when we're learning how to live with other people, we need to, by having the freedom to be socializing, it's how we start to learn about who we are and how to deal with who we are. Now, within Summerhill School, we, as I said, we have the meeting processes as well. Now, the meeting processes, again, there's no difference of who you are. Everybody has the right to speak, and everybody has the right to bring something to the meeting, and everybody has the right to not go to the meeting if they don't want to. Now, what this means is that, especially in a situation with children who have maybe social difficulties, that they're treated very equally. They still have a voice. They're still respected as an individual. We don't look at them as being different and having an issue. If someone who has maybe social difficulties, if they're upsetting another child, that's still not okay. Whether you're a 5-year-old, whoever you are, it's not okay for that to happen. Now, naturally, children as a community start to learn about who we are as individuals, and we all become quite tolerant. We start to learn about certain things about certain people that maybe we give leeways to. But it's also very important that we're very honest and sincere. So these are sort of different kind of important areas to a certain extent that we see, especially working in a situation with children that may have specific or more intense or stronger needs. Now, I'll just quickly talk a little bit about the learning environment. What I'll do is I'll do a little bit more, and then we can have some questions, because I'm sure you'll have questions, and I'd like to be able to answer questions from your situation. So hopefully I can help you a little bit from that. I'll just quickly explain about the learning environment. Now, we find at Summerhill that special educational needs, things like dyslexia, things like ADHD, even things like Asperger's to a certain extent, sometimes even with autism and different levels of autism, that actually many of them disappear very quickly. Now, the reason why I say that is because the children they're so self-motivated when they find their interest, when they find their learning, they're self-motivated, they're coming to lessons, they're enthusiastic. Now, because we individualize education and we work on educating the whole child, this is an advantage for us. We have the flexibility to work with them in a bit more of in smaller numbers, more individualized to a certain extent, not always one-to-one, but we have much smaller classrooms, and it gives the ability for us to work with individuals. And as soon as you do that, you start to realize quite quickly that things like even things like ADHD, but dyslexia and things like that, we all learn just a bit more different. And as a teacher working in this environment, you kind of realize that when you have those freedoms, you can start to realize a little bit, okay, this child here is a bit different. I'm going to work with them. I'm going to spend a bit more time. I'm going to come at it from a slightly different angle, the way that you actually work with these children. And also, because of the sort of social and emotional development side of Summerhill is fulfilled so well, then children, and I'll say all children, become very much more confident within themselves. And a child who's confident and is feeling happy within themselves then feels more motivated and feels in a much more happy, a much more comfortable place to start learning and to start fulfilling their own ambitions and their own needs. So yeah, so this is from the learning perspective, this is kind of the way that we do things at Summerhill. We still have qualifications. We offer in the same kind of way that traditional schools will. We offer qualifications, and most of our children will go through and actually take qualifications and go on to colleges and universities and so on. The difference is that it's non-compulsion, so they have the choice whether they go to lessons. So they can go to learning when they're ready. And this means that they enter into the learning environment when their social and emotional needs have been fulfilled. Okay, so I think, how are we doing for time? Oh, okay, so that will, I think if I stop now, and then we can do the rest of questions. I sort of think I might have forgotten something. I'm sorry if that's the case. Oh, maybe I'll just quickly spend 2 minutes just telling you about our Centenary Celebrations. This is also a very important time, as we're all now, as Summerhill School is now 100 years old. This is a very, very significant time globally for education, really, for people who are practicing, who are trying to alleviate pressures to practicing a much more child-focused, if you will, humane, if you will, element towards education. So this is a very important time. Now, we are organizing, we're organizing a few different events, but I'll talk about one specifically. We're organizing an event called the Summerhill Festival of Childhood. Sorry, I got it the wrong way around. The Summerhill Festival of Childhood. We're organizing this event in August 2022. We changed the date recently to give us a little bit more celebration time, but due to the global pandemic that we're in at the moment. So this festival, we are uniting with organizations from all around the world. We're connecting with the democratic education communities. We're connecting with AERO. We're connecting with Alliance for Self-Directed Education. UNESCO, the Futures of Education of UNESCO have now formally joined us as well. So this is becoming a very big and a very important event. And the focus of the event is obviously 100 years of Summerhill School, but more importantly, to celebrate childhood as a critically important period of time for the future of humanity. So what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to globally bring people from all around the world to unite together. So not specifically about certain practices, but to unite together around the importance of childhood. And things like freedom and equality and free play and creativity and all the wonderful, beautiful things that children should be doing in their childhood. So we have a website, which I'll put in the chat in a few minutes, which is www.summerhillfestival.com. And we also have a Facebook page where we're going to be posting lots of lovely information and news about all of the wonderful things that are going to be happening at the festival. So we're inviting you all to come and join us. It's a wonderful opportunity to be celebrating together, basically. So, yeah. Good. Okay, that'll do for now. And we'll go to questions. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Henry. And I was, during your presentation, I constantly was repeating, I'm happy. Now I feel happy. I feel happy. So, you know, during such event, my child now is closed in the room, sitting silent. So during your presentation, I just reminded that I have a child. I have to ask how she is going. So she came back into the room. So it's, I just wanted to share with you the spirit that you bring, also beside the content, about the rights of every child to be also accepted and free. And I want to ask you a question. You see that there are a few questions in chat, and there were also questions in Lithuanian, so some of them repeat the English ones. And maybe I will translate one extra question, which is in Lithuanian, is if Summerhill School is a boarding school, do children stay for night?
Yes. So we, yes, it's a boarding school. So we have, as I said, we have the age from 5 years old up to 18 years old. and it's an international boarding school, so we have children from all over the world who are coming to stay at the school, and they live at the school. But there is the day pupil option as well. So at the moment, a lot of the little ones, especially from 5, 6, 7, this sort of age, sometimes even 8 and 9, they'll be day pupils first. So they'll just come in for the day from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So this gives a little bit of transition time for the younger children.
So there was the second question related to the first one. How then you deal with the challenges when children are separated from their parents? Is this an issue, and how do you deal with this?
Actually, it's actually not as much of an issue as people that people will often think. Sometimes children, when they first come, they might be a little bit homesick for a short period of time. But the Summerhill community is a very warm, a very friendly, and a very lovely place to be. And so children very quickly, they make some friends, and they start to enjoy the atmosphere of the school. And so very quickly, normally these homesickness is alleviated quite quickly. Now, obviously, in this day and age as well, many children will have phones and will have iPads and can contact their parents quite regularly, especially in international sort of situations. And so sometimes at the beginning, there's a little bit of homesickness, a little bit of crying at bedtime or something like this. But generally, it moves very, very quickly. And we don't ever really see it as a major issue.
Okay. Can I go with the next question also?
Yes, of course.
There's the question, people are interested in the typical day, how the day starts, when children play, when they work, how does it look?
Okay, so because it's a boarding school, at 8 o'clock, all the children are woken up. And at 8:30, all the children have to get out of bed. And that's not, sorry, I won't just say all the children, that's all the adults as well. That's the same for all the adults. You all have to wake up at 8 o'clock and you have to get out of bed at 8:30. This is part of the laws of Summerhill. The lessons at Summerhill start at 9 o'clock and they run through till 12:40 with a 20-minute break for a cup of tea. Now, this gives us the lesson slots of 40 minutes each, and this gives us 5 lesson slots in the morning. Now, we then have lunch for an hour, and then from 1:40 through till 3 o'clock, we have 2 more lesson slots there. And then we have a tea break at 3 o'clock. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have our school meetings. Our school meetings last for 1 hour maximum. They're limited to 1 hour. It means we have to talk very quickly and make decisions very quickly, which is actually a very good thing. But apart from that, everything is then after the meetings and after lessons, it's all free time. So the children can do what they want to do. Now, I will just quickly add, though, because there's non-compulsion to lessons, play happens all day long, if you want to. So generally, the younger ones, it's always a very beautiful atmosphere when you come to Summerhill School. The little ones are just playing, and they're just playing, and they're just playing all of the time. They have wonderful access to wonderful classrooms, and our teachers are amazing. They're very creative. They're coming up with lots of fun things all the time. They're doing lots of wonderful work, and they teach numeracy and literacy for the younger children. And we have science and IT and history and music and art and theatre and woodwork and metalworks. And we have a wonderful curriculum on offer. But the children make the decision whether they go and when they want to go. So this means that they play a lot, and when they get bored of playing, they generally go to lessons. In simple form.
It's very often when people talk about Summerhill School that there is a fear behind that children may want to play always. They will never go to study. So how do you deal with that?
Well, it's actually very easy. We don't actually have to deal with it very much. What happens is that because learning is actually quite a wonderful thing, and is actually great fun, and it's very self-fulfilling. It makes you feel good about yourself when you found an interest. One things that A.S. Neill would often say is to find interest is to find happiness. And when you find your own interest, when you find your own, not what your parents want or not what adults think you should, but what you feel that you're interested in, and you follow your own instincts in these kind of ways, then learning is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. And as Anne was saying earlier, the lifelong learning, we don't. It's a real shame that in a lot of traditional situations, people look at learning as a chore, as if it's something you've got to do and it's forced upon you. But actually, learning in this situation is a wonderful, wonderful, powerful thing. And when children have kind of fulfilled, when they've played and they've played and they've played and they, oh, I'm bored of playing now. They've naturally matured. They've naturally moved through their developmental stages. Then they get to the point when they're ready to start thinking about, so what do I want to do in life? What am I interested in? And when I leave Summerhill or when I leave school, do I want to become a scientist, or do I want to, do I want to be interested in graphic design? So the transitions between play and learning is a very, very smooth transition. But it's not always at the same time, I will also say, because play is also a wonderful healing process. If children have got quite negative attitudes towards learning, if their self-confidence is low due to maybe, whether it's due to the home life, whether it's due to previous schooling experience, then they can feel very low about themselves. And in this situation, the best healing, trust me, the best healing is play. And for children to just not worry about learning, not do anything. We sometimes have children who come to Summerhill who have had very difficult backgrounds, and they spend 2 years playing. And that's all they do. They're just off in the woods and they're playing and they're playing and they're playing. And then when they're ready, they're like, oh, wait, I'm going to go to a lesson. And they go to a lesson and go, actually, this is quite fun. I actually quite like this. And so this is a bit of a...
When I listen to you, I think that I already got the answer to many of the questions that were written about the violence, about the borders, about the, mainly about when children misbehave.
Yes.
And when you say that, how do you deal with that? But when you said that there is a play, and in play there is a healing, and healing for education, and especially for relationship.
Yeah.
So this is also one of.
I will add something to that, because I think it's also, I don't want it to sound like everybody's always 100% happy. There is conflict, there is anger, there is hatred. Sometimes children get angry, they do these sort of things, and this is part of childhood as well. So I will answer that question because I think it's also very important. We do all of our conflict resolution within our school meeting, and we have some older children in the school called ombudsmen, and they help with conflict resolution as well. So if a child has an issue, if a child has been upset, or if someone has broken a law of the community and they're upset about this, then they can go to an ombudsman to help them resolve the conflict. Now, the ombudsmen are older members of the community. Again, very much celebrating individuality in this way, but they just need to be experienced members of Summerhill. So they understand how the resolution element of conflict very well. So that's the first way. The second way of resolving conflict is through the meeting process. Now, the thing that's so powerful about this, and I'll just quickly talk about this goes back to freedom, not license. It goes back to equality, and it goes back to celebrating the individual we all have our rights. So if it is that a 12-year-old upsets a 5-year-old, the 5-year-old will say, that's not okay. And they will put up their hand and they will say, you can't do that. just because you're big, that doesn't mean you're allowed to upset me. Now, what this does is it empowers all of the children to have a voice and to understand that their voice is listened to and is important. Now, what this means is in the world of conflict resolution, things come to the surface very quickly. And this is very powerful because it means that you get to resolve the conflict and then you get to put it to bed and it can finish. Now, I'll just say a few more words about this as well. At Summerhill, we don't class children as being bad. The child is not bad for upsetting someone. It's just the action that they have done is unacceptable. So it's not a personal thing. We unconditionally love all the children at Summerhill, and we accept everybody. My mother says we accept everyone, warts and all of the bad things and all of the wonderful things about them. We accept all of them, but it's just about action. Your action is not acceptable. If you've upset someone, if you've broken a law within the community, the action is not okay. And this is also good. So we don't personalize it. We don't make people feel like they're bad people or horrible people or that they failed or anything like this. You know, it's just that your action's not okay. So I hope that adds a little bit. It's important, you know, there's lots of things with play. Play is the most powerful and beautiful thing, but play creates conflict sometime as well. So you need a robust system to deal with that. And our meeting processes and our conflict resolution, our ombudsman systems, and all of our policies and everything help to give that wonderful freedom for children to feel safe.
Henry, there are still few questions and they still are going, but we have already to move to some other guests.
Of course.
I was thinking if you would stay a little bit, maybe we could, I will ask somebody in our group to translate your questions in English. And if you would be so welcome, maybe you could answer at least at some of them, because they are still running.
Of course.
People are asking also why school is boarding school and some other things. Of course, I don't want to take your time, but unless you find that some questions are really important to everybody to hear your answer, I would like you to.
Well, I feel for me, I'm a very busy person at the moment. So for me to answer in emails is very difficult. I don't have much time for this, but for me to answer like this is no problem. Okay. I can talk like this. So I'm very happy to answer more questions. But obviously I don't want to interfere with your timetable as well.
So at the moment, I think that the main questions we answered. Yeah. So thank you, Henry, very much for
no problem.
For very inspiring presentation, and thank you that you are following the school. And I have still one curiosity from my side. How do you see the evolution of Summerhill School?
Yes, well, I just recently did a wonderful talk with Yakov Hecht talking about the future of democratic education. And I think that there's something that is very, very simple and very beautiful about Summerhill. And that is that the focus of the school is on children and social and emotional development and all of these wonderful things I was telling you about. Is when you focus education on the child, then actually it means that there's elements of the school that will never ever change, because children won't change. In 100 years, children will still be children, and they'll still be climbing trees, and they'll be still annoying us sometimes, and they'll be doing all of the wonderful and beautiful things that children do. But this element of Summerhill School has never changed for 100 years, and I don't think will ever change. But what is very beautiful about Summerhill is the way it evolves with the world around it. Because we focus education on children and children's job, naturally, children learn about the world all the time. They're accessing the world on the internet, they're playing games, they're AI, all of these wonderful and terrible technologies that are coming into the world. Children are playing, they're trying things out, they're testing. And by doing this, it means that the school is constantly evolving with the world around it. And this to me is a wonderful structure for a school, because you're not creating a model that then you have to create another model in 100 years when that model has failed. If you focus on childhood as the main focus, and then let children access the world and give them access to everything, then the school will constantly evolve with the world around it, which is very powerful.
Thank you so much.
Sorry that was a long answer. I do quite long answers. I'm very sorry, everybody. I'm sorry it's taken too much time.
No, it's a pleasure. It's the gift. So thank you, Henry, very much. And I wish you really nice year, and the whole world supports you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you all. I hope it's been helpful to you. And Ira, it's lovely to see you too, Ira. Lovely to see you. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.